Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jeremy, founder of QuickMail.io.
Hey, and this is Jack, lead generation guy at salesbread.com.
Lead generation
Today,
guy. That's cool.
what do we know? So today we're talking about what not to do when handling replies, specifically replies to the lukewarm prospect or lead, right? It's easy to reply to the yeses. It's easy to reply to the nos, or to at least know what to do with them. But it's the lukewarm ones that are interesting, right?
Yeah, so this episode actually came from me teaching one of our team members on how to reply once you get the first replies. So, the one that says, take me off your list are easy. You take them off their list. The one that says, yes, and the book straight away the call, then that's easy. You just go on the call, on the demo call. But the one, you have like plenty of other replies that are like kind of like in between. And the ability of taking those leads and leading them to the final outcome that you need or you want, and even like qualifying them in that process is super important. And I realized that actually this is not a given skill. You may have like a great campaign because you manage to spend 2 hours on it, trimming it, changing it, moving it to have the actual, crystal clear content that works. But then you receive a reply and then you blew it, or you're not actually doing the right thing you should be doing. So
Right.
I got a few examples that we can go through, or a few categories of replies that hopefully that will, that could be interesting to brainstorm.
And I'm so happy we're doing this reply handling cast, because a lot of the emphasis is put on preparing the campaign, writing the copy, finding the prospects, as it should. But then unfortunately, this beautifully crafted campaign is then handed to a junior level person at a company, and they don't really, I have to say it, they don't know the right way to follow up, and it loses the hard work that was put in, the resources that were put in, the sales that could have come out of it. It's important.
And there is only one case that is really well handled by all the automation tool, is when someone doesn't reply. Right? Because then we actually craft it to figure out what's the reply we can put, what the new benefit we can highlight. And it's funny to see how people just revert to bad habits when they got their first reply that is like lukewarm, right? But we're going to cover that. But today our episode is sponsored by 2 amazing companies. We got
some of the best companies in the world, actually, according to my parents.
According to my cat, this is definitely the best company ever. Provides food every day, Anyway, so go for it. We got salesbread.com.
Okay, here's the deal. Today, most B2B companies lack the time and or expertise to turn those cold prospects into qualified leads. So at salesbread.com, we generate you 1 lead every day by sending ultra personalized. Yes, we use humans, not the AI bots that are in vogue at the moment, to get replies from the people that you want to. We send cold emails, of course, and LinkedIn messages that, again, ultra personalized. If you're interested in, Jack, what have you done for fintech campaigns or healthcare or HR or whatever? Let's get crafty on a 15-minute strategy call. I won't pitch you anything unless you tell me to. salesbread.com/contact, and we'll have a chit chat.
I do love how you actually always start with the same thing. Today must be to be, and then you always like sort of like, go somewhere else. I still don't have a pitch, but you can check it out. It's QuickMail.io, one of the best outreach platform when it comes to automation and saving you time, especially when you have a team and a lot of accounts. We also provide an auto warmer for free, which will help with your deliverability at no extra cost. Shall we dive into the episode?
Can't argue with that. We should. So we're going to focus on what not to do when replying to lukewarm leads. And you want to pay attention. Why? Because if you screw this up, the hard work you put into your campaign will have been wasted. At the very least, you will have missed some opportunities for sales down the road. So with that, Jeremy.
And I want to add that I'm actually going to focus on what you should be doing. So that will be a perfect combo, right?
Interesting. All right, Jeremy. Why don't I start with what you shouldn't do, and then you can steer us straight here.
Fine, let's do it.
All right. So number 1, what you should not do is give up after one follow-up. In fact, what you should not do is give up your follow-up efforts until either you get a response from that lead who was interested or lukewarm, or you die and you have a funeral and you're no longer physically able to send follow-up messages. Those are your rules. It's point blank. And CEOs and founders, if you have a newly hired sales rep, BDR, SDR, that you say, hey, how many times have you followed up on the leads that were interested? And they kind of go, if they do this, then you need to find somebody else. That's like a clear trait for a BDR that makes money and a BDR that should find another profession. You have to be ruthless with follow-ups. And just clients have come to me saying, well, Jack, I think we followed up once or twice with these leads. And the conversation turned a little sour when the BDR was brought on. And it's like, dude, you have to follow up, or what are we doing this for?
Follow up or die.
Soapbox.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, follow up until you die. Okay.
That's a good one. Well, here's one other thing that you shouldn't be doing when you're actually following up. If you think about it, we spend an awful lot of time to craft or cold outreach campaign, which contains follow-ups. And usually the follow-ups are, a different value proposition. And you have like 5, 6 or 3 or 4 follow-ups, doesn't matter. But the point is, like, you should have like always a sort of like different value proposition on each of the follow-up. Now, the funny thing, and one of the big pitfalls is when someone reply, slightly interested, wants to know more, then the BDR, the SDR, or whoever is receiving the reply sees that as an opportunity to suddenly pack all his or her like follow-ups and then bunch it into that email reply and then just go full in with all, right on left benefit. And obviously you should not do that. There is a reason why your follow-ups actually are only one point, one thing interesting. Otherwise you're overwhelmed, the user or the recipient, and you're going to lose that person.
Okay. So let's unpack this. Let's say we get a reply that says, I'm interested. Can you send more details?
Okay. This is the funniest one. I hate this one. Yes.
Okay. But to play devil's advocate, how would you reply to that without overwhelming the prospect to the point of brain fog or just a confusion state?
Ask again the question.
I'm interested. Send me more details.
Right. So usually I would say something along the lines, and of course you're going to be better at writing stuff, but for me that'll be my strategy and my approach will be, okay, I want to know what is the most interesting thing for him or her, and target just that. Say there are plenty more things. It's probably easier to discuss it. Let's jump on a call. Right? That would be one thing. So it's like circling back. It's like giving a little bit of information, saying, is that is that relevant? Do you need something else? And if not, let's jump on the call and I can show you more, right? That will be the sort of like strategy and the approach I would use. Definitely not explaining all the features of quick mail, for example. One thing I could do actually is to say, most people in your situation really value this thing or really have this problem. This is how we solve it. Is that worth carrying on this conversation? Or do you actually have this problem? Should we actually investigate more? Because then you do also the qualifying stuff at the same time. You'll know if they, like, for example, if they have problem with deliverability, then it's simple. QuickMail is so good at deliverability. So I would say, hey, if deliverability is really a problem, we have like 6 different things to actually help deliverability. Would that make sense to, just do a demo? That's personally what I would do.
Yeah. So the way I approach this is kind of like a movie trailer with a question. Right. So think about this. What I heard was a combo, Jeremy, that you would ask a follow-up question. What's most interesting to you?
Yeah.
And
it's for them.
Do I have this right? You would also in the same email put like a 1-sentence general background and then follow up but what area are you most interested in getting details on?
Well, think about it. Like, I'm the dungeon wizard. I actually build up their sort of like journey. So I tell them what to do. I tell them like, if this is what you're interested, if this is what is interesting to you personally, this is the next step.
Right.
So don't leave them with up to them to decide what to do next, because usually they don't want to think about that. But you give them like a very clear path, like, if you're interested in that, why not jump on a call? Here's my calendar. Like, okay, fine. So if he's interested, he's going to jump on the call and have a calendar. If he's got more objections or more discussion, fine too. Let's carry on by email. So you could even add it, like you could say, here's my calendar. If if you still have a few questions before we jump on a call, please write them here, or like do some actions, right? Don't be the passive guy and say, let me know if you're interested to carry on. It's like, man, why should I carry the conversation?
Sure.
Why should I be the dungeon master? Right.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So I think you nailed it by digging a little deeper, making them provide what is of the most interest in their world right now.
They should be
before
the hero.
you just throw up. Yeah. So what's nice about that advice is it means you don't have to go to your marketing department and have them produce a one-pager that's beautifully designed that no one's going to read.
That's right.
It's not really like that. We're doing outbound here, so use the one-to-one conversation to your advantage, right?
The worst thing you can do is effectively send them the PDF and just say, let me know. Well, you'll never know.
It's true. It's so true. But, wow, isn't it common? Okay, so one tip here is if you do happen to have a really straightforward product, some of those are really straightforward. You add it to your site and it starts doing X and Y, and here's what you can expect. If you happen to be lucky enough to have like a very straightforward process, probably in the lower pricing point, probably on the faster sales cycle thing, put it in one sentence. Hey, in short, it helps type, do X in Y without pain point. That's high level. Is there anything in particular you're looking to find out at this stage?
Exactly.
Question mark.
Or should we dive into any of those areas specifically? Or like, is there any of those three that is interesting to you? Yeah.
And I've learned that if you take as much work off of the prospect's plate as possible, you're more likely to move to the next step. So you could just say like anything, that's the high level overview. But if you want to dive in on anything there, I'm happy to record you a video before we hop on a call. Up to you. Just reply, with that one question that you're looking for. Again, that should be edited down, but that's the idea. Make it real easy for them. You don't even have to ask for the call right away. You might try it in a follow-up, especially if they don't write back to you with that message. But that might lead us to our next point here.
I don't necessarily have points. I have examples.
Okay, well, let me throw in my
go for it.
My next point. This will be a quick one. You already touched on it. Sending the same follow-ups. So I'm telling people, you listener, watcher, to follow up until you pass away. But that doesn't mean send the same email again and again 100 times. Yeah, don't do that. So what do you do instead?
Did you get my email?
It's really simple. Jack, change the benefit, but Jack, change the call to action.
Did you get my email?
I mean, enough of those and you probably will get a reply, but it's not going to be the one you're looking for.
What you want.
So just make it easy.
To deal with insults. That's the next
benefit. Yeah, insult. New benefit and then new call to action. That's it. So I didn't mention this before, but we also handle mobile candy payments for whatever fintech you're going after. Still up for a call? Should I check in a month? Are you still the right person? Do you still work at this company? How about we connect over text? Whatever. You keep changing the call to action. What do we have? A CTA swipe file? You have a link for people?
quickmail.io/cold-email-CTA.
Okay. And while we're at it, course.quickmail.io is the cold email masterclass course. If any of this sounds cool, then you will really, really you'll be impressed with the module we put together on handling replies. Yep. It's kind of this, but on steroids, especially helpful if you're not actually doing this. Maybe you're going to want help with it. you can just kind of give the course to someone and they will not screw things up. That's sort of the idea. Okay, carrying on. What do you have next, Jeremy?
All right, so these are real examples that happened to our last campaigns where I had to train one of my crew, one of my team member, how to actually do proper replies. So we spend a lot of time crafting the campaign. The campaign looks great. The follow-ups looks great. But of course, sometimes you have like, those answers you're not quite sure. Like we didn't have send me more information. We had similar one, but we didn't have this one. We had one that was really funny, was like, sure, let's do it. But he actually didn't address or did what we asked that person to do. So it was like super like, okay, that's great. But it's like, let's book a, something. It's not that, but it will be like, use this link to book a call. And the guy say, yes, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no, not on it. It's like, yeah, it's like, I'm okay. Or, something like, that's cool. You just agreed, but you didn't actually do the action that I wanted. So what do you do with that?
That's very simple. So again, assume the sale in this point. Assume the next step will be taken. It's going to look bad if you're like, hey, I thought we had a deal. We were going to meet tomorrow. What? Just assume that they just are busy.
Them.
Like
hey, moron, you should have.
Yeah. Yeah. So my advice is say something like, hey, pumped for our call. When you get a chance, here's the link in case it was not showing my last message, whatever. If they still don't reply, I would come back the next day saying, hey, I still have Thursday and Friday available. Should I book anything for us? Or if you have a calendar link, feel free to send it my way. And then next week, be like, haven't heard from you. Everything's still okay. And then a week goes by and you say, is this no longer a priority? Just, you see what I'm doing? I'm like assuming that it was just something you haven't got to until
something happened
weeks later, right? Then something's a little bit odd.
So I have a slightly different approach, but similar, but different. And so basically the answer I would do is something like, do the broken record. Like when they say like, sure, yes, that's good. Let's do it. You say, fantastic, great. Here's the link. Please find a time in it and book a time. Right. And so we did that. And then, like amazing, talk soon, but he didn't actually book a time. It's just like, yeah. Hell. And then you do the broken record. It's like, hey, could not see the time being booked. Do you have a link? Maybe right. I can book a time in your calendar. So you actually try to resolve the problem and move the cell. You know, you have to move them through the cycle and be the captain. And that's not always someone like, when you're starting in a company or where you're not, really sure of yourself or what you do, this is difficult to do, but do the broken record in a nice way and then go along with the flow, then that works.
Okay. So one more tip here. This is a really good one. It's a little bit like sneaky, but I love it. Do you know, Jeremy, if you, this is actually very sneaky. I've got a couple people on this saying like, how the hell did you do that? Okay. So, if I send you a Google Calendar invite, it's going to be pending on your Google Calendar until you say yes or no.
Yes.
But Jeremy, if, for example, you say, hey, Jack, would love to talk, and you ghost me, or it's difficult, you say you want to talk, but you don't. What I will do is I will go on my Calendly and I will put in your information, email, name, telephone, and I will pick a time. Again, this is after like a couple tries to book something, and I will book it as if it's you. And then if you do that, it will automatically say, yes, I'm attending on your calendar, which is a little bit sneaky. But if you're trying to get someone's attention,
love it.
I would only recommend this for people who said, yeah, let's do this. You basically choose a time that it'll probably be wrong, but what's the idea? They're going to say, you're going to show up in their calendar. They're like, if they can make it, they'll keep it. If they can't, they'll be like, yeah, I got to get back to Jack. And they will. And they'll say, hey, that was kind of slick. How did you do that? How did you automatically accept that? And I'll say, I'm a ninja. Don't talk to me. Or I'll,
I'll let you know on the call.
Swimming with the fishes.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
I think we got this one nailed down. I love the super tip. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So what else do we have? Well, Well, we got an easy one to some extent. So we got like, hey, I've CC'd whoever, Jane in the company, who is the best person to discuss with. And then that's it. Then
Okay,
the question is like, if you're sort of like starting, you're probably going to sit down and wait for that person to effectively reach out to you.
No. If sales are in your blood, you're going to be mean about it in a good way, right? Or aggressive, I suppose, is a little bit better. But yeah, that's interesting. I've noticed as I talk, I'm advocating for like aggressive outreach.
Yeah, me too.
But at the same time, be nice about it.
Yeah, don't have to be an asshole for sure.
Yeah, send follow-up messages like you would want to receive. It's the golden rule. It's the platinum rule. So, Jeremy, what do you do when someone says, I've CC'd Jane, she's the best person? This is really easy. You don't wait for the reply, number one. And number two, you add another email with both people on the thread so that you can thank the person who referred and so that Jane can see who at the company gave the referral. And then you start the message by saying, hi, Jane, insert name, referred me to you regarding blank and blank. When I meant, when's a good time for a short chat? P.S. Here's the details that so-and-so, had when they referred me. Like, notice it's not even about selling it anymore. Like, they've referred you to Jane. Make it very, very easy for Jane to just take the next step, which is probably a call.
Yeah, I like that. In this case, that person was already CC'd, so I don't need to say like, hey, Joe and Jack actually referred you or whatever. But
I see what you're saying. But make it clear that you're thanking them for the referral. I want Jane to see, let's say, she's hungover or something and she's checking her inbox. I want her to see the first line says her boss or her colleague looped her in. She's now like responsible to reply.
Definitely. I say like, thanks, whoever is the person who replied that. And I say, look, Jane, you can probably look at the whole thread, but here is the sum up, especially if it was like a lot of back and forth, a lot of like follow-ups. I'll say, these are the 2 points, whatever, here's the next step. I look forward to whatever, meeting you or stuff like that.
Kind of assuming the meeting, which is great.
Absolutely. Assuming that she said yes, and let's move on.
Yeah.
It makes things easier. And really all she's going to have to figure out is like, what is this about? And then what action should I take next? If you answer those 2 in a very nice way, then I think you're good.
But to play devil's advocate, Jeremy, you could write an email that said this. Thanks, Brenda, for, connecting me with Jane. Jane, Brenda mentioned that you'd be the best person to approach regarding marketing automation. How does this week look for a quick catch-up call? And you could include the thread below, and that's it. So if she wanted more, she could find it, but I don't even think it's that important once you have a colleague CCing someone. You're in. That's the easy one. It's a little tougher when someone just says, oh, you want to reach out to Jane without providing a CC or even an email address, in which case, again, manually find his or her email, put it as a CC, thank the person for the intro, and make sure that thread is there so that Jane can do her fact checking, and then you're good. Keep it simple. Referrals are really powerful if you know how to use them right. And by all means, Jane should get a follow-up in this case as well until she replies or you pass away, but do it nicely and with enough time in between each message.
Yep.
I have another mistake.
Oh, okay. Go for it. For a mistake, I say something else after. Yep.
Okay. Mistake, I think this is numero cuatro, not using more than one channel. So,
ooh, that's a good one.
You have to use more than one channel.
Keep the channel.
While you multiple. Yeah. If I'm having a hard time getting someone to reply that already wrote back to my email, I'm going to see if their email signature has a cell phone, and I'll send them a text message from, doesn't matter, my phone, my software. I'm going to look them up to see if they're active on LinkedIn or Twitter, or pick up the phone and call. I've done that to, again, these are super, what I would consider like, not quite hot leads, but they're warm leads. They know they want some more.
They're worth.
And
they're worth your your perseverance.
Yeah, because imagine we took the hardest channel, but probably the one that would work the quickest, the cold call, the lukewarm call in this case. Jeremy, hey, it's Jack. We've been playing, catch up with some emails. I'm just trying to get something scheduled. You remember you mentioned something about wanting to get details or have a short meeting on X. Oh yeah.
I was messing around with you, Jack. Go take a hike.
Yeah, right. Okay. But hey, that's the response. Now you can move on to other more qualified prospects, which is good for you. But please use more than one channel. Please use every channel to your disposal. If you look at their email signature, that tells you a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. And shoot, you can go to Uplead. They sell phone numbers sometimes. You can see if they have your person's mobile.
Yeah.
If you're connected with them on LinkedIn, it has their social, and a lot of times their mobile number too. I remember I cold called one of the co-founders of Predictable Revenue. I was like interested in a particular, let's say, a question, and I referenced an email chain that we had going on, and it was like, oh, okay, right, yeah, and it works. So you hear, I'm a fan of more than one channel. What can I say?
Good move. Here's another interesting thing that you can do is you basically acknowledge something remarkable about their reply. And that could be sometimes, for example, you could have like a very abrasive type of reply, like very quick, like, what's it about? Or actually more abrasive than that, but something like that. And
what's the meaning of this?
Yeah, exactly. And then you can very easily actually turn that around, saying like, hey, I love it. Someone going straight to the point. Here's the, the XYZ very quickly, blah, blah, blah. And this is the next thing to do. And if you actually like acknowledge, their state of reply or something remarkable about their reply, then you sort of like turn the whole conversation around, and it's like, okay, great. That sounds good. Thank you for someone who understands me. Let's move on.
Yeah. So what do they call that? Like mirroring?
Yeah, it could be.
Right.
It could be. The problem I have with mirroring is you have to be careful as not to make the other person look dumb, right? Because I hate when someone just do the parrot with me, right? It's much better to say like, oh, you're in this mood. I acknowledge the mood you're in, and therefore, I understand you, rather than like, don't do that, man, don't do that. It's like
I get okay. No. That's interesting. I was thinking more about like their speed. If they're straight to business, you're straight to business. Don't ask them about the weekend.
That's what they should. Right. For me, I call that playing the same wavelength. Being in phase. With them, like in tune with them. Right.
But even if somebody replies with an email that's like, "Hey!" exclamation point, really cool idea, smile, whatever, like just animated response, I'm gonna throw in an exclamation point. I will. It's just to.
I'm not sure.
If they say hey, hey name, I'm gonna say hey name and whatever. It's not gonna win me any sales awards. Not that there's such a thing potentially, but I think it helps. We like others who are like us. What can we say? I got one more not to do, and I think you're gonna like this one, Jeremy.
Cool.
What you should not do is not automate some of this process, right? So it's a lot of work to manually follow up with everybody. You're going to forget stuff. So some people have completely built out automatic follow-up messages for every different kind of reply. And that's great. It takes time to build that. In the beginning, you can keep it simple. A lot of times, this is all I'm doing is I give a manual reply and then I hit snooze so that the message will come up in, say, 24 hours. If they don't get back, manual reply again, hit snooze for 3 days. And then if they don't get back to that, all right, I'm moving you to automation. And that's going to say stuff like, hey, just trying to X, how's next, whatever. So it's kind of a hybrid. It helps get things going right away. You don't have to like build a bunch of stuff. It also allows you to do like a nice manual step or two to do your best job to mirror, as we mentioned, to reply as you should.
Okay. I'm I think I'm about to solve this, so maybe that will be for another cast. So I like what you're saying. I got a few more things. We can go over them quickly and then we can stop the cast. But those, we have plenty of questions. Like, you answer, you say like, hey, book your time, here's the calendar link, whatever. And then they reply like, oh yeah, but what if that? How do you do this? And then like they come up with like 5, 6 different questions. Well, if you're junior, you're gonna answer all of them. Right? Isn't that true, Jack?
I guess it depends what they are. Depends what they are, and it depends what stage of the game it is.
For me, it's always like never answer all those questions. There's like, it's just,
well, hold
it's
on.
not the right place.
If I've already had a call with them, I will answer those 6
that's
questions.
Different. You're right. You're right.
Right. If it's brand new,
you have to assume this is a first reply, right? So you're saying like, hey, this is, and they're just like, oh, well, what's the size of your newsletter?
right.
Who are the people, what industry they're doing?
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you also support this? But we have a special case, whatever, and so on and so on. So
what do you do?
Yeah. So for me, what I do is I pick up one thing that I think is like, looks like the most important to them. And I reply to this one. And so I'll be doing something like, it's great you're mentioning XYZ. We effectively have like 6 different solutions to answer this one. Usually most people in your situation really love those ones. But you know what? How about we jump on a call and I explain you or show you everything else that you mentioned. I think it'll be easier. If not, then maybe I would or would not, propose alternatives. Most of the time I won't. I will just stay with like, is it okay if we carry on this conversation on, because most of the time people just want to know, are you serious? And so they only have like 1 or 2 questions, and usually they turn around the same topic. So it could be, do you charge, per people? How much does it cost for inbox? It's like, oh, that person is very cost conscious. So I will answer the cost conscious problematic. And I will say, things like, hey, it's great that you're looking after, how much value you're going to get out of that. This is usually how we charge things. We haven't changed our price in the last 5 years. Maybe it's worth if we actually move on into a call, and then I can show you exactly, how much you will be paying. That's the sort of thing that I will do if they're cost conscious. They could be integration focused, like, they're worried about their old pipeline and tools. Usually they will end up 5, 6 questions, but they're pretty much like always in the same sort of categories. So if you address the categories and then you say, let's jump on a call to discover more, I promise it's going to be worthwhile. I think that actually works. So it's like, again, that person understands me.
Yeah, I'll probably say this is a rare type of reply.
Oh yeah?
There ain't a whole lot of prospects that are going to read a cold email and take the time to write 6 different questions.
You're right. We got 3 or 4.
Still be lukewarm. You know what I mean? Like maybe they started that saying, wow, we've been looking for X and Y. I just have some clarifying questions before I grab my CEO out of a meeting and tell him to go buy this thing right now.
I think at that stage when they're asking those questions is they're trying to value what is that worthwhile. Is it worthwhile us spending time with them? Like, are they serious? Are they going to stay in business for a long time? Is that something we should consider? I think that's should we consider? And then therefore they will ask you some questions that are usually trying to make sure it ticks some boxes, or it validates some of the thing they're concerned about. So once you address that, then they're easy to actually jump on a call and discuss.
I'm trying to put myself in this position where I got 6 questions back from a lukewarm lead that got my
it's an easy one, honestly. Like, let's say, for example,
I'm there. I'm there.
Okay.
I can tell you what I do.
Okay.
I would double check this is a decision maker. I'm not going to do this for a junior person. I would triple check this is a great lead otherwise.
Do you want us to write a 10-page PDF just for you?
Not even. I'd hit record on my Loom thing and I'd say, what's up, Jeremy? I got your 6 questions. I'm going to take about a minute and a half right now and go through all of them. This piques your interest. My booking link will be included. And then real quick, high level. First, we do that. Next one, oh, no. This is definitely not what we're about. Boom, boom, like that speed. And in under a minute, ideally, you're giving tone. And the idea is it's
okay.
going to save me time responding because this may be a tire kicker. I don't know. It'll give them the info they need while using a little bit more personalized channel to move things along. And I can see if they watch the video. So I'm going to know if I need to follow up appropriately. Right.
But I think that's really good because it will remove the anxiety as to who am I going to speak with. And so therefore they will,
True.
you know, see
like
if
that.
them, you know, if
face to the name.
match. Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. One more quickly. What if they ghost you after the first reply? They say, sure, that looks great. Let's do it. And then you carry on. I think we covered this one at the very beginning. You mentioned
Am I
already.
still alive?
Yeah, exactly. And then the last one is like, yes, but like they actually come up with some objection. Then those are also pretty easy and you should have them in your book. You know, yes, but how much is that going to cost me? Or yes, but, you know, do you integrate with XYZ? Or that's kind of also the same sort of thing of the question stuff.
Yeah, so you can build out like an FAQ so that if a new hire doesn't know how to respond, write the new answer and store it in a doc so that with time, it takes care of itself and they're more able to reply like you. That's a tough one to do, but it's possible.
All right, that's it. Probably can't find a few ones, but hopefully we gave you some good idea of what to do and what not to do.
Or shine the light on what not to do. Course.quickmile.io is where you can get some more info. Of course, if you made it to this part of the cast, I think you're one of our kind. And I think you should take us up on our, what is it, a 1 month trial? You can like see everything for a month.
Days. Yeah. So
that's pretty darn good. And if you hate it, we're trying to get John Carlton has said, if you don't have at least a 5% refund rate, you're not pitching it hard enough. So please help us get a 5% refund rate, guys. We're working on it, John. All right, Jeremy. Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks, Jack. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.